Welcome to another episode of Behind the Dreamers. I'm Jennifer Loading, and we are talking to the achievers, the creators, the magic makers, and the dreamers. These are our friends, these are your friends, and they are living the extraordinary. Today's episode is brought to you by Walt Mills Photography. If you are a creator needing post-production, consultation, or promotion, Walt Mills is your guy. Whether short films, YouTube production, photography work, or a new headshot, he can help you find a solution to match your needs. To learn more about Walt and his work, go to photosbywalt.com. We also want to give a shout out to Chris Clow of Upbeat Media Productions. If you are in need of turnkey special event production, Clow is your go-to. You can learn more about him and his work at upbeatmediapro.com. All right, we are super excited. Got a guest in studio today, Gerard Ibarra. I'm so excited to chat with you and get to know your story and all that good stuff. But to our audience, he's an author, a speaker, consultant, and entrepreneur. His book, Good Decisions, Better Outcomes, is a guide to aid individuals and business owners to make better decisions. Dr. Ibarra collaborates with companies in organizational change, management for effective, transforming, and lasting results. He focuses on reducing risk and costs for business owners and companies using a decision-making framework that is repeatable, reliable, and consistent. In addition, Dr. Ibarra has over 30 years of management and leadership experience. He's held multiple positions from director to executive vice president and CEO. He was also co-founder of 3 software companies, of which he and his co-founder sold one. He is currently working on another. He's received his Ph.D. in applied science from SMU and taught graduate courses in logistics systems, engineering at SMU, and supply chain management and e-business at the University of Dallas Graduate School of Management. Love it.
Well, thank you.
Very scholarly. I like it. Lots of good stuff here. I'm super excited to chat with you today.
Well, thank you.
It's going to be fun.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've got so many great things going on. So your book, when did this come out? When did you launch this?
So it was last year. It was in May of last year, and it was a long process. Really enjoyed the process.
First book. Did you self-publish or have a publisher help you?
Yeah, so I used a company to help me get over the hump, and the name of the company is Publish, so I used them, and they really helped me get out there and made it easier for me. I didn't want to spend time trying to figure out the ins and outs, so they did it for me.
Yeah, I've published a book and I self-published, and it's so funny because my good friend, she's done a couple books, and it's so funny, like that first time you do the book, you kind of learn a lot about the process, right? And hindsight, I would have loved to have done what you've done. I think it would have been so much easier, But I tell everybody, when I did it, I didn't know. I just wanted to write this book and get out this information and had no idea how to go about doing it. And so I'm glad that you figured that out early on and got the help.
Part of the decision-making process.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Well, let's talk about this a little bit because you've had an expansive career, in corporate and then moved into this entrepreneur space. And let's talk about that transition. What led you to getting into the space that you're in now?
So I was in this space back in the mid 2014 through 16, had a couple of other startups, and we ended up exiting through that, and I got back into the corporate world, got into a high-level position, then ran the company. It was an on-demand company for medical transport, and then we sold the company, and we used this framework that I developed, and that's what we used to say, do we need to sell the company or not? It was the board. So when we went through the processes, based on everything that you're looking at, we need to sell. So I said, this is great stuff. I've been wanting to write this book since the mid-1990s because that's where I learned the framework somewhat from a professor. And come 2019, I finally said, this is taking me too long. I started writing it. The company was sold. My position was no longer CEO. And I said, this is just not working out for me. So I ended up leaving right at December of 2019 to finish the book. Yeah. Of course, that's when COVID hit. So, I just made a few changes there. But in the end, that's what I ended up doing. I left the company to finish up the book and got it published.
Okay. Wow, I love it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people that have come in contact with it were either like at the verge of starting something right when COVID, like they were right there and then it hit. I mean, I feel like we've had so many people that were just at that beginning stages, and oddly enough, that's when I launched my book in October of 2019 as well. So not knowing, and we started our first podcast that same month, so everything was like right there. And then of course, when COVID hit, we all had to make pivots and change and direction and kind of evolve. But I think we came out stronger. I think in a lot of ways as business owners, I think we a lot of us came out, as solo entrepreneurs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe some of that decision process, right?
Well,
decision
the
making.
decision-making process, that certainly changes. It's funny because in the book, when I was finishing up the chapters, I threw in something about COVID-19.
Okay.
Said, and if you make these decisions, sometimes there are things beyond your scope or beyond your control. And I said, for example, COVID-19.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might make decisions, and there are things out of control that are going to affect you that there's no way you could have made the best decision.
Right. So let's talk about what you're doing now, because you got the book out and you're going into companies and consulting. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing and how you're helping these companies.
So what I do is I meet with organizations and, I pretty much let them know that what I can do for them and help them is reduce their risk and their costs in the decision-making process. McKinsey & Company did a survey in 2019 of 2,000 managers worldwide, and they found out that on average a Fortune 500 company loses $250 million a year just on the decision-making process, let alone if it was the right one.
Wow.
So what I do is I use a framework to help them reduce the chances of making a bad decision and also to streamline the entire process. So in the end, they have something that's repeatable, reliable, and consistent. So once I teach them how to do that, they'll never have to call me back unless they need some analytical work. But it's a change from the top leadership. It's change management. How do you make your decisions? So that's what I do. Small to mid-sized companies is pretty much my target market.
I like it. Well, and that's important. And you've got the engineering background, which I think is really good. The logical side of things coming into all of this.
Well,
you need to know some of this. Yeah,
you need to know some of this. But what I didn't know, which is funny, is the emotional side in our decision-making process.
Yes.
And when I did research for my book, I threw in so much about the emotional side. So the framework was updated to include your emotional side. So when I go train the organizations, it's not about all numbers in cost or processes. It's about what are the emotions here. And believe it or not, you can make a decision that you don't like whatsoever, and every day you come to do those tasks or whatever, and you're just going to be down and out, and that reflects in your department. So you're not going to be hitting all cylinders. Yeah. So, or it could be what's worse, and this happens quite a bit, is someone who has the emotions tied to an individual for whatever reason. They had a confrontation, and that individual will not want anything to happen to help that person succeed. So when they're in the round table trying to discuss what's the best decision, if I'm the person who has these emotional ties to that other individual, I'm going to make sure that there is nothing that I'm going to do to help them succeed.
Right. So. Yeah, this is good. We could have a whole conversation.
Yes,
I'm with you on this whole emotional side. But what's coming to mind right now is and you probably read it. I read a really good book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. Have you read that? I love that book. Very good book. I tell like a lot of times when I come across like human resource people, I'm like, you all need to read that book because it really talks about what you just talked about, the not wanting to help when you have an emotional conflict with somebody. Yes. It really talks about eradicating the politics out of the decision-making within the organization, like when you come together. Because, yes, I feel this is where I come in. I feel like everything is about emotion. In fact, I'm working with an accelerator right now, and, a whole part we talk about in the buying process. Most people buy on emotion, right? Like everything, all like ads that are very successful. If you think about like Apple, for instance, they're very creative in their marketing because what do? They get on your heartstring, right? They don't go in and promote their computer per se. They do this elaborate story, right? That you get tied into, and then you're like, what's the company? It's Apple, right? Yes. And so I feel like everything that we do, yes, you got to bring that logic, but so much of everything we do is on an emotional state.
It's just how we're wired. Unless of course, so Dr. Daniel Kahneman. Which is a really good book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Okay. It really talks about how people think. Yeah. But he said that unless you're autistic, you are going to make decisions based on emotions. Yeah. You just cannot get away from them.
Yeah, I believe it. So I'll have to check that book out. I haven't read that one.
Yes, it's a good read. It's about 450 pages, a lot of material.
Yeah.
I keep on going back. What did you say here? What did you say?
Right. Yeah. I know sometimes it's hard to get through those. It's like they're good, but then they're long. That's how I feel about this course I'm taking right now. I feel like I have to sit down and dedicate the time, but I'm watching this is all online, but these videos, the one I just finished yesterday was 6 hours long, and so I have to really, the word I will tell you, be very consistently disciplined. That's a strength of mine. I admit, so I have to every day just do like an hour, just enough time to get through, get a little bit in, because that's sitting down for hours to do it. Like I'll stop retaining information.
That's really good. So you're what is it called? Discipline, like you said in that. But one of the biggest things in making bad decisions is if it's a strategic decision, such as buying a company, selling a company, like I said. If you're not in that systems 2 thinking, which is the critical thinking, then you might not make the best decision. As a matter of fact, you won't make the best decision.
Yeah, this is good.
So, it's good that you do that when you're really focused, because otherwise you're not going to retain as much information. So
yeah. Well, and I don't make decisions after a certain time of day either. I don't know if you've read the book from the sleep doctor. I always talk about this book, The Power of a Win. It's like my go-to book, but it talks about how we're one of 4 animals and we function on our circadian rhythm basically. And so you're either like a lion, a wolf, a bear, or a dolphin, and accordingly. But the funny thing is, it'll tell you like when's the best time to like sign contracts, make decisions, have communication with certain people, and so I always tell people, I'm a lion. I wake up early in the morning. Breakfast is my favorite meal of the day, but from 7 o'clock on, I'm not making important decisions. So I'm not going to sell or buy a company. I'm not signing a contract. I'm not making any life decisions. It's not happening. Because that's when I get in my like creative. I'm either creative or I'm tired at that point, So it's a really good read. And I think it's great for like when you're with clients, because you'll get, we've always heard this, the 5 a.m. club, right? Like be up at 5 a.m. because that's when you get everything done. But there are some people that just do not ever function at 5 a.m., right? They just don't. And they're most creative or most productive in the evening, And so I always reference that book because I'm like, maybe you should read that book and find out,
I have heard of that book, yes. Yeah. I have heard it. So I am a lion. So my best time to do things is first thing in the morning.
Yeah, you're probably very productive. That's when I'm productive.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's afternoon. I start kind of tapering off, and then I become more creative. It's like less productivity, more
creative. Yeah, and I do the same. I recognize that. So when I have to do something creative, I save that for the afternoon.
Good for you. Smart decision. I love it. So you invented this, or basically put together this decision process, and that's what you have in your book, right? Is that what you talk about in the book? Okay.
That's geared more towards an individual, because the dynamics are different when you go into an organization.
Right.
As I mentioned earlier, you have one individual that doesn't like this individual, so that book is geared more towards one person, the business owner. Hey, do I sell the company or not? Do I expand? Do I order? Do I bring on a new C-level person? But the framework is still pretty much the same, but there are some nuances.
Okay. Very cool. So anybody and I think decision making, I feel like, Yvonne, it's funny because you'll hear me at the end of when I close, I say, every start begins with a decision. That's,
Well, we make about 35,000 decisions a day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of decisions, a lot. And we can't function in the critical thinking all the time.
Right.
And that's why we have heuristics and systems 1 thinking. But yeah,
and I can tell you're very systems. I like it. You gotta have some systems to things, because we get too out there in that space, and if you don't think in systems, things don't come together.
Yeah, that's so true about that. One of the things in making those critical decisions for an organization, the biggest things I would say is for a business is to think long term and to think systems. And if you do those 2 items, your chances of hitting a better decision are much higher than if you don't think that.
Yeah.
So you got to think long term, and you got to think of an exit strategy, and you got to think how everything ties together.
And don't you feel like that's the same for us too as entrepreneurs? You still got to have the long term thinking and exit strategy, right? And system thinking.
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same. It's just here we're by ourselves versus we got this organization we're managing now, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that strategy is really still the same. And oddly enough, a lot of entrepreneurs don't. I mean, that's what I'm working with the accelerator on right now. Is I'm trying to design something to build exit strategy. I've got the systems thinking down, and I definitely have the long term. That's not an issue for me. But a lot of entrepreneurs come into this space and they don't really think in those terms. They're like, hey, I want to do this. It sounds great. This can be a fun, entrepreneurial job. But they're not thinking long term, and they're not thinking exit strategy, and they have no systems, right? Like no systems. And it's hard.
You definitely need systems and an exit strategy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I love it. We're on the same page, right?
Yes, we are.
So I want to kind of ask you some questions about this moving into this space, because you've created these. You've done a lot of things here. You've done these startups, and you're working on something now. I know that you've got something going on now.
Very excited.
And you can tell us about. I'm gonna let you tell us about that. But I want to know, going through this journey that you've gone to, because it's been a long journey. Like, what do you feel like has been the biggest challenge for you in this space?
So in this space, believe it or not, I think the biggest challenge for me is trying to get in front of the right decision makers. And I think that comes back to maybe some of the marketing techniques that I use, or being able to clearly define for a CEO or a C-level individual. Yeah. And, I'm just being honest. I know that you have marketing tell you these are the things you need to do. And based on all the research that I did, I know what I need to do. Yeah. And it's still a little bit difficult, but I am getting to the point where people are starting to recognize what I do, and my messaging is changing. This has evolved quite a bit over the last year and a half.
That's good. Well, and I've heard that a lot of times the marketing agencies, they kind of know what they do, but they don't always quite know what you necessarily need, and I'm with you on that, because I've seen that. I mean, there are some that are really, really good, and they can really hone that around you, but there are a lot of them out there. They've got these guidelines they follow, or this sort of methodology that they use, but it's not really telling your story or talking about who you are or what it is that you're creating. And that's really they buy you,
yes.
And they buy the product.
Yes.
That's the bottom line,
yes,
right?
That is so true, so true. My first gig came out of the individual knowing who I was.
Yeah.
And pretty much said, I know who you are. I've seen you operate, and I'm buying you to teach this class.
Right.
So you're right, absolutely.
Yeah. Marketing's hard. I know, I'm with you. It's hard. So tell us about this new thing you're working. Can you tell us some of this stuff?
So yes, I'm very excited about it. So I've been working on this over about 18 months.
Okay.
And the name of the product is called Keep It Saved. And what it is essentially is a platform for an individual to create an account and download, or upload, upload all the critical information they have, passwords, accounts, wills, trusts, pictures, what do you want at your what do you want at your funeral, all this critical information, so that when that person passes away, it all could be transferred over to the loved ones, and they're not going to have to worry about, well, how do I pay the utilities? How do I pay this? Do I need to cut these services? Yeah. So it's all there available for them, and it gives them the opportunity, the user also, to sign on what we call representatives.
Okay.
So a representative would be if I'm the user, and I will give you access to my accounts, and there's pretty much I could give you as much access or as little access to everything, or just nothing at all, where that after I passed away that you're going to get this information. So really excited about that. The way that came about was unfortunately my wife's brother passed away unexpectedly.
Okay.
And she says, it would be nice if there was something that can hold all this information, a repository. And I just kept on thinking about that, and my mind started going. I said, I can't let this go. I can't let this go. Stop it. And so I ended up just moving forward with it. It took his wife about a year to the date to finally get all the accounts and information she needed. So
Chris is he's over there. Yeah, I'm believing this.
Yeah, you're believing it, yes.
I could just see. I didn't even think about that, because I'm thinking about the car titles, like everything, the life insurance, like everything. You've got to find all that, and like my husband's stock stuff. I have no idea what that even is. You know what I mean? Like knowing that kind of stuff, because you'd be like, what accounts does this person have? Brilliant.
Well, so many people don't realize that if your house burns down, you lose everything. Your pictures, and so I've literally started. My mom thinks I'm crazy, but I've gone over to her house and started going through her photo albums and digitally just getting renders of them, so I'd have them online, so I could pull them up whenever I want to. Now, it's great when I'm telling a story and they're like, what does that look? I'm like, oh, right here. And I just go through my phone and go, that's the picture right here. And they're like, oh.
Yeah.
So,
well, you're right.
What's the password to get into your phone?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, well, and you guys are probably like me. I feel like I have a password for everything.
Oh, yeah.
I can't even remember them. I have a little log on my phone where I've started like putting them in there. So because I change them so often and they're all different. And
could you imagine? That would be awful. I I need to unlock his phone. Can you just open the casket one more time?
Yeah, I need.
Face.
Yeah,
Okay,
'cause
we're
I
good
need
now.
to unlock the phone, right?
Give me your finger right now. Put it right here. Don't worry about me.
I've seen movies where they do that, right? Like they need the face recognition or the thumbprint. They're like the dead body, and they're trying to get the
Almost
thumb.
there. Sir,
That
excuse
is
me, sir.
so brilliant. So has it? You're still working on? Has it been launched? It's come. When's it expected to be here?
So we
Right.
did a promo of the product. It's just prototype,
Okay.
and we did that last month,
Okay,
right on June 30th. So now we're in the middle of raising funds. We've got a couple of investors that are interested. We've got the whole thing mapped out. So
Wow.
it's just a matter of getting those funds. As soon as we get that, I mean, we're good to go. We have the design, we have the team, we have everything that we need.
I
So
love it.
Really
So,
excited about it.
Wow.
When someone, say, signs up for this, I guess walk me through the process of getting everything into that. Like, is there like something you fill out, or how do you go about doing all that?
And so that's one of the challenges that really for any service that you sign up for,
Right.
it
Sure.
just asks you to do all the things. So we're designing it so that it's, I guess, gamify, make it fun. But I don't know how much fun that is.
This is all your dying info.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Kids,
make
come
that fun.
do this in
Yeah.
case I die. Here's
Yeah.
a fun game.
I like that.
Chloe always comes up with something good. That'd be fun.
Maybe that ought to be part of the game, But the user can assign tasks to
Okay.
individuals.
Okay.
Hey, Gerard, I need you to do this. Well, I don't want to. Well, you're my son. Okay,
Bringing family
Yeah,
together when
bringing
family's
family
not there
together.
anymore.
Yes, exactly.
This is
So,
interesting.
so
yeah.
you could assign tasks to individuals. You could also, one thing that I like about it too is if you have a state attorney or
Okay.
a CPA, one of these trusted advisors, you could give them access to very specific information like wills
Okay.
and trusts. You don't have to give them access to your social media, how things get paid, none
Sure.
of that. So,
Yeah, well, in Texas, you're going to have a lot of NFA trusts because everyone has their firearms registered with
Oh.
a family trust, and that
There
will
you
go
go.
in there too.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah. I didn't
absolutely.
even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So through that process, someone signs up. It's heavily. There's so much security behind it. So it's a 3-tier authentication to get on.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we would randomly choose one of either their PIN number or one of their their 3 questions, so that it's always going to be that. So it's first you have to sign on, sends you an authentication number. You then use that, and then once you're at the 3rd step, it'll say, "Okay, have
Good,
you?
yeah.
What is the
It's very,
what is
yeah.
your first teacher? So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
good.
That's
That's
very
good.
cool.
So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
it's a smart thing. I mean, it's definitely something that's needed, and you're right because I haven't had to worry about that per se, but I've had family members that have, and it's a lot of work. I
It
mean,
is.
to go through all that process.
It is. I mean,
You know?
for me, for example, for people my age in the 30 to 50s, I guess, my mom, she's 96.
Okay.
And every time I visit her, don't forget this, put
Right.
this, here's the prayer, this is the church, here's my dress, this is the saint. Don't forget about these are the flowers, this is the poem. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
You're like, yeah, you're worn out. Yeah.
I have it spread over 5 notebooks. So,
Yeah.
so once I get that going, she'll be my first client.
Well, I'm excited for you for this. This is awesome.
Well, thank you.
Very cool.
Thank
very
you.
cool. So I had a question. I totally lost I had a really good one, and I always do this. I'll have a really good one, and then it disappears.
Well,
It'll
good,
come.
because
It'll
I don't
come
know if
back.
I could answer.
You
a good
probably
question.
could. You've
No, I
done
don't
great.
know.
You've done great.
I might
You've
have to get back
I
to
do.
you.
Oh,
on
I do
that.
have a fun one to kind of ask you.
Oh my
so
gosh.
this is actually kind of a fun one. So through your journey, what do you feel like you've learned through all this? Like, what's a takeaway for you?
Why in the hell am I doing this? No,
That's good.
no.
I think a lot of us have that one. That one might be a common entrepreneur one.
Well, and actually that one did hit me a few days ago when my friends came up to visit. They
Okay.
have full-time jobs.
Yeah.
My friend and his wife both work, so it's not like, they leave work and they're done. For me,
Right.
I don't leave work.
Right.
But I guess the biggest thing for me was, takeaway for me is that I really enjoy this, and had I needed to do it over again, a lot of the lessons I learned would be more coming back to making sure you understand the market and who your target audience is, and that there is a need for it.
That's good.
Because the thing that I'm doing right now with my consulting, it's a real brand new area. There's universities do it,
Okay.
but I could have gone the partial CFO or CEO or go on into analytics and things that are more common. But for me, I think it all starts from the top. And if you don't have a decision-making process, I mean, just to give you an example, one of my, I guess I call my best client, or the one that I like to tout about, I did this work for an institution when I was working on my Ph.D., and it was throughout chance that I met the VP. And to make a long story short, I just sat down with him for an hour and kind of went through the process. He says, Gerard, this is great. I want you to come here next week, and I have three VPs that are very nice. They love each other, but when it comes to my job, they will cut each other's throat to have this. And I have $300 million that I need to disperse amongst these three departments.
Okay.
And it just takes a long time. So I want you to come and do this for us. So I went, and we got it all done in one afternoon. What usually took 3 months took one afternoon, and everybody agreed on the process. So it brought everybody together. Even though everybody was competing for everybody, the overall message here was, let's do what's right for the company and the clients, not what's right for Department A, B, and C.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that. So
yeah, that's awesome. There was a lot of things there you said that were really good. I think that.
Did I answer your question?
I don't even know, but you just said a lot of really. I don't even know, but you said a lot of really good things there. So we got lost in whatever that part of that conversation was.
I don't know.
Hey, I do the same thing sometimes. I'll be asking. I'm like, hey, I got something. I'm on to this. Was that the answer?
Was that the answer?
I don't even. What was the question I
think
asked?
it was a takeaway, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What did you learn in the process?
Yes.
Yeah, what did you learn in the process? But it was all good. I think. But you said a lot of really good things there that I think were important. So and I think what's interesting is when you were talking about like these people coming together, and yeah, it really, I'm learning a lot of that right now. Is what I'm saying is that it's pulling it back and being more objective and like what is the overall big picture here, because so many times people get caught up in the minutia of what's going on with me, right? What's happening to me and what somebody's doing to me versus, hey, let's look at the big picture here. What's good for the organization, good for the team collectively. It's not always just about, you.
Yes,
you know what I mean? And it's hard to tell people that, but that's really what is happening.
You know, through this process, because it includes your emotions, it makes it a little easier for someone to digest, saying, okay, this person did me wrong. I don't want to see this person succeed. But when you go through this process, it'll help you identify, even though I don't particularly care for this person, based on everything, this is the best thing for the company and for the clients, even though it may not be the best thing between me and this individual. And even for vendors. So say, for instance, you're looking at a vendor for a new software system, and say it's $30,000 a month.
Yeah.
So you have one vendor with one salesperson who really is able to click with you. So that there kind of clouds your thinking process.
Yeah, right.
And you might make a decision. As a matter of fact, you will make a decision, unless you're trained, to more than likely go with the person that you like than the person that you don't like.
Right.
But this process says, hey, even though I like this person the best and I know working together we could get a lot more done, in totality, this person who is not so favorable, but for the overall picture, which I include my emotions, this is the best choice.
And it might be the right one to fit the job that needs to be done at hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you on that, because it is hard when you're and we do that. I think even as entrepreneurs, when we're working even with clients and stuff, we tend to we gravitate to the people that we click with, but sometimes they may not even be the right client, right? Exactly. They may not be the one you wanted, because they may not even be, if you're talking, I mean, we could go into this deep, but we're talking about emotional adult development here. They may not even be the right client that fits even what you're trying to do in your business, right? Like you may be pulling somebody that you're never going to pull to this level, but because personality-wise, you're clicking with them, right? Right. You have to be aware of this. You've got to be aware.
Yes, absolutely. And it's hard. It's really hard. Even so, I mentioned Dr. Daniel Kahneman. So he's a Nobel Prize winner, and in his book, he was talking about how your mind affects your decision-making process. Yeah. He says even for himself, who understands this, is affected by when he grades papers or when something takes place. So the framework really helps individuals to step back and say, okay, I know where I'm at, and I can see number-wise how this emotions is affecting me on this decision. So
I like it. I feel like what you're saying is it's really getting you focused on what's this big picture here. We got to stay true to whatever this big picture is.
Stay true to it.
We're going to have the emotion, but we got to move that over here. Let's stay. grounded in the decision making and making the right decisions.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
I do want to ask you a question. So, no, this isn't hard.
Okay,
You're gonna
when you say that,
you're going to
I'm
be
like,
right on this. You're going to be. I know, because I sometimes think of stuff, but you're going to be right on this because it's about decision making. What advice would you give to somebody who right now is trying to make a decision and they're struggling?
So if it's a very critical decision or a very strategic, which I guess it would be,
Yeah.
is to think long term, and think of an exit strategy, and think total systems. So those three things. So I call it my 3-tier philosophy.
Okay.
You got to think critical, you got to think big picture, and you got to think of an exit strategy. And if you do those three things, your chances of making a better decision are increased substantially than if you don't do any three of them.
Yeah, this is good. So this will force you to have to pause. Like, no quick decision. You need to pause and think of those three things. Like, you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you get a pulse of people that are, I'm a decision maker. Minute decisions I can do very quick. If it's something that's big, I'm going to probably be of that mindset. I'm going to have to look back and I'm going to have to sit down and think strategically here.
Yes.
Quick decisions I make. But I'm a decision maker, so decision making for me is not really a problem. But I have to be mindful that I don't run on an emotional, make an emotional decision versus, hey, is this strategic? And that's why I said if it's something big, but I always give myself a time limit, and I've trained on decision making within my organizations before, and I've always said, I give myself a time limit on it, because for me, that process may look like I'll make a decision by the end of the day or maybe a 24-hour decision. For some people, that could go on and they will never make it, right? And so I used to tell them, you got to give yourself some kind of a time limit, because otherwise you're going to really start overthinking, and then you're going to go to another place of decision paralysis and not do anything, and so.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
so true, because I'm reading a book right now. It's by Kay and Keene. It's on radical uncertainty.
Okay.
And pretty much what they're saying is that you can't possibly think of all the outcomes on a decision. And the best thing to do is pretty much say, okay, I know there's going to be things I can't control, but let's just go down and finish here. And that timeline, it's also covered in another book. It's on algorithms to live by, and it's how people think in terms of the computer.
Yeah.
And the author, and his name escapes me right now, but he talks about you have to set a timeline.
Yeah.
And there is a good chance that if you set a timeline and you make a decision, that you will probably make a good decision. But if you don't, it's like you said, I'm going to go down the rabbit hole, and the next day something happens, and it could be 6 months later you're trying to decide a software company, and guess what? A new one starts up that has all the information and all the gadgets that you need. Now you have to start the process over again. Very good point.
Yeah. Well, and if you don't make a decision, you're still kind of making a decision.
Yeah.
Right?
If you don't
You're
make a decision,
to do nothing.
Yeah.
Somebody's making it for you. That's what I always say.
Yes.
I know it's hard for a lot of people. It's and it's interesting that we have to talk about that with and you do in many facets, because you've got where you're at, where you're trying to make good decisions to help these companies get where they need, right? Long-term strategy, exit strategy, all of that. But then just even in the day-to-day mundane, how many decisions we make a day.
Yes.
And it's amazing, like when I'm working with people, because I work with individual entrepreneurs and help them try to grow their businesses. But like I shared with you, more importantly, I'm trying to help them become great leaders so that they can effectively run their business. The decision-making process is like a lot.
Oh yeah.
Like and they sometimes want me to tell them what to do. They'll be like, "What should I do?" And I'm like, "That's not my job. That's not my job. My job is to help you make your decision, but you're owning that decision, because I don't want to be responsible when that goes the wrong or right. Like, I don't want to be responsible."
So I've been in my industry for multiple years, but when I started my own in 2000, I think it was 6. Mm-hmm. I decided, I was like, my selfish part of me was like, okay, well, I need to make myself like irreplaceable. Like, no one can replace me. Yeah. And then as I started in my 5th year, I was like, no. I definitely need to be replaceable, because I want
Exit
this to carry
strategy.
on. I need to get out of this.
Yeah.
This needs to. So you start thinking, and it takes, I was younger, obviously, but when you start thinking about that stuff, it's crazy the things that come into your head that you never thought about before. You're like, okay, wait, I want this to last way longer than me.
Right.
So how do I make that happen? And who do I? And the hardest part, in my opinion, is finding the right people
Yeah,
to do that.
absolutely.
That is so difficult.
It is
Yeah,
very, very difficult.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think you hit on something really good, Chris, because I think that's where the leadership comes in, because a lot of times, when we're younger, we think, oh, I got to do all this. I got to wear all the hats. That's me. Nobody can replace me. And then you realize exit strategy means you need to be replaceable.
Yeah.
You need to train, because a good leader is going to train somebody to take their job, right?
Yes.
They're going to train somebody. So you touched upon something really good there.
Well, hell, if anything, I mean, you get to a point where someone's running the company for you, and you just step back and
Right.
Yes, that's what exactly.
Well, it's like, and I have some guys now that have been working with me for 10, 12 years, and I explained to them, I'm like, look, I said, if something happens, I said, I have no problem being the face of the company and coming out and just shaking hands and doing this and all the stuff that some of the things like my guys have said, like, look, I don't want to do that. I'm great at all this stuff. And I'm like, oh, and I understand that. That's why I have you doing all of that stuff.
Yes.
Because I know you don't like doing this stuff. So it's one of those things where you kind of, it's weird. I never thought I'd be in a position when I was in my 20s to go, hey, you know what? I'm going to know how to put this person in the right place and this way, and then actually listening to people and see how they do things better and be able to watch them be like I've had guys that started out, so I obviously do audio, lighting, video, and staging, that started out doing staging, and then they'll come over and be like, hey, what's this? And they'll start doing something with like audio. And they'll be really, really good at it. Like they'll just click and it picks up, and I go, that's more your area, I think.
Yeah.
Just try it. And then they get it and they're like, oh, I love this. And great, I'm going to put someone else over here and move you. It's fun, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult because you're always in your head. You're like, I don't want to hurt any feelings. I don't want to cry. And that all crosses your head. But you're like, I got to do what's best for the company.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That lends the idea, though, when you think about organizations, because so many organizations, and I don't know, this might have been in the 5 dysfunctions of a team. I can't remember where I read this, but so many times, people are working in these different positions within companies, but they're not really thriving within the particular position that they're in. And this is where I think great employers and management needs to really come in and find out, hey, where are these people excelling? Because if they're not thriving in an area, there needs to be a question of what's going on here, because there are times where moving somebody into another, another team, another place, and then all of a sudden they kind of blossom. They come out and they're a better employee, right? And so there's so many things. It's so many things so many things you can that need to be addressed. And because you've been in that sector, so in management and leadership and all of that, and the many hats you have to wear in that,
Oh, absolutely.
So you've done a lot of good stuff, Gerard. So
thank you.
So one last question I'm going to ask you, and then we'll do some fun. You've done great. These have all been good.
Do
okay.
I need a shot here?
Yeah, you got this. You've had every one of them. You've done good. If you had to sum you up in one word, we haven't asked anybody this today, but I'm going to ask you this. One word today, what would you use?
Persistent.
I like it.
Persistent.
I can see that. It's a good word.
Persistent.
That's actually one of my favorite words, because I'm persistent.
There you go.
Listen, persistence always wins. It
Yes,
always wins. In the end, you always win.
Yes, you do.
As long as persistence doesn't turn into bullying. Yes.
That's true.
Well, okay, in that case.
Don't become a bully. Yeah, no, that is true. But I always think about that, because it's, when I was in my former career and we had a lot of teams, and I would see these people that would come in and they would have success very, very quickly. I would just sit back, because very few of them that ever lasted. Like, they would have the success. It was like they're running the sprint, right? Like, they'd get it very, very quickly, but then they couldn't maintain, right? And you would see the people that just sort of kind of would come up, and they would sort of kind of have incremental wins. They would just sort of keep going and keep going and keep going. And those people are a lot of my friends that are white that are still in that organization. They're still doing things. And so I would always just sit back, because I've always been kind of the consistent slow burner, with whatever I do. But I always stick around for a very long time and keep working on things and keep working. And so I think there's something to be said about that whole persistent thing.
Absolutely.
In the end, if you stick around long enough, something is going to happen.
Something.
Something, right? It's awesome.
Well, let's just hope I could live up to my mom's age. So.
Yeah. Well, you're doing good stuff. I'm excited to see your new endeavor kind of manifest and come to fruition here.
Very excited about that. Very excited about what I'm doing.
I'm super excited about it. I'm like, got thoughts on
Yeah,
it.
he's
got
like,
thoughts
let me
in
know
your
when
mind.
it's ready. Let me know. Let me
Got
know.
thoughts.
Yeah, let me know. All right, Gerard. So if our audience want to learn a little bit more about your book, what you've got going on, this new thing you've got coming out, where do we want to send them?
So you could go to GerardIbarra.com.
Okay, pretty
That's my
easy. That was easy enough,
Yes,
right?
GerardIbarra.com. GerardIbarra.
And can they get your book on there? Or is it
Amazon.
Amazon.
Thank
Okay.
you for asking. Yes,
Yeah.
Amazon. Good decisions, better outcomes. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, I like Amazon. It's good. They can print books on demand.
Yes, they can.
And you don't have to stock everything. Like you can get it, it's there. And yeah, so good. Well, we'll tell our audience, go check the book out. Check out Gerard, see what he's doing. And we have to make sure to let Chloe know when this, your project
saved,
actually,
yes.
when it comes to in the force where he can get it.
In the force.
Yeah, it's in the force and he can get it. See, we got Star Wars going on.
I couldn't tell.
Couldn't tell.
Somehow the Star Wars lingo is like hanging in the back of my head back there. All right, and we do want to say to our audience, of course, if you enjoy our show, please be sure you give us a rating both on iTunes and Facebook. We can't do this without you. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, and then we'll leave you with a final thought. This is my decision part. In order to live the extraordinary, you must start, and every start begins with a decision. You guys take care, be safe, and be kind to one another. We will see you next time.